Okay.
Jack White, thoughts on the Iran war fears?
I don't think they're credible. I really don't think Trump is gearing up for a ground war with Iran. I really don't. I think at most you'll get some bombing. And I don't fear it because it's the only war that I would support. And I've said this before. I don't care if it's popular. I really don't give a shit. I've said this consistently. It's not a new position. I've been accused of selling out over this. Well, then apparently I sold out 15 years ago because I've said it again and again and again. Iran declared war on us. We ran like bitches. We just didn't join the war. That declaration of war, by the way, still stands in 2026. Iran has been at a perpetual state of war with us since 1979. And they've acted like it. They've killed U.S. servicemen in the interim. They've killed U.S. servicemen in the last several years. So yeah, I would. I'm not really afraid of it. But I also do not think that we're going to go to war. I really don't.
Greatness incarnate, Iran update. U.S. citizens have been urged to leave Israel. Israelis believe Iran will launch a doomsday strike on Israel if U.S. gets involved. Sounds like bark. By the way, should we take Cuba, lol? Let me just say this. I want to add something to this.
Oh, boy.
Israel saying if U.S. gets involved, Iran will launch a doomsday strike.
Right.
That sounds like
hey, them trying to get us to do it a little bit.
It sounds like they don't want, to me, this is how I interpret it. It sounds like they don't want the U.S. to solve the problem for them. They want that problem to sort of exist out there as an excuse.
Yeah, that's not a ridiculous idea, but I actually would see it the other way. It's a way of Israel trying to create the impression of a post-apocalyptic imminent threat so that we launch the strike sooner.
Hex, Trump posted an 8-minute video. It's full regime end. I will look this up.
Okay,
right
maybe
now.
We'll have to react to this live on stream.
You might have to. He posted it 13 minutes ago.
Okay.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people.
Damn. Okay, so this is the real deal, guys. This is it. Let's see what this connotes, though, because like I said, it doesn't seem like ground troops is a thing. It sounds like it's bombing so far.
Activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries.
So can I say how weird it is that he's delivering this statement in a baseball hat? Can I just... That's weird.
I love it.
I do kind of like it, but it is weird.
Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. The regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the...
Except all the other times I just listed.
...world's #1 state sponsor of terror, and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon.
He ran on this from 2015 on. So, however you happen to feel about this, disagree or agree, it's something he ran on from the very beginning. This was not some out of nowhere policy shift. This was something he clearly believed in right from the beginning.
That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening.
I hope the rest of the speech is just him saying, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to do it.
Keep this in. Keep this in.
Keep this all in. Don't put a jump cut there, you son of a bitch.
Wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated.
So, what I'm hearing so far sounds like bombing. Bombing missile facilities. That's, at this point in the speech, keep in mind there's almost half of it to go. That sounds like more of a prolonged bombing campaign.
We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon.
It's not going to happen.
This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear...
Hope this is not Chris's blood.
That was badly timed. That was very badly timed. Now, this part sounds to me like a possibility of ground invasion. He hasn't said it yet, but that sounds more like, if he's talking about casualties, that sounds more along those lines. But the only operations he's talked about so far in concrete terms sound more like bombing military or missile facilities, rather. I don't know. What's it sound like to you? Of course, you ran off for a second.
It just sounds like bombing. I think the only casualties that might be involved is because, we're also sending in helicopters and stuff.
Possibly.
And, they will be shot at. There are SAMs that you need to worry about. That's more what I think he's talking about. I'm not sensing boots on the ground yet.
Yeah, I'm not we're definitely not having it verified, but this kind of talk leans more in the direction of ground invasion, at least with armored vehicles and such, as a possibility. Although, again, people monitoring the whole area, it is significant. There has not been a buildup of armored divisions yet. So if they're going in on the ground, they're not going in anytime soon.
We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran.
That was pretty based. I'm not gonna lie.
I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand.
Yeah.
Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Damn. He just came out and fucking said it.
Yeah. It looks like he wasn't blowing smoke when he said America's with you. It looks like it just took him a while to get all the ducks in a row in order to make that happen.
I mean, there's a lot of planning involved. You can't just...
obviously, yeah. I mean, and it also speaks to the fact that he didn't plan to have he wasn't working up to some regime change war, which speaks well of this operation, by the way. It means he didn't have all of his ducks in. He wasn't planning to do this, in other words. It wasn't some automatic intercessory, we're building up to this slowly over time thing. No, he clearly needed the time in the interim to build up military forces in the region. I said this is the only war that I personally would support. I've said this for years. I've said this because of my experience with the Iranian people, my experience knowing what I do about Iran. And if you guys want to ask questions about that, I could deliver no shortage of anecdotes about the kind of existence that the Iranian people are forced to live under in even smaller towns than Tehran. In Tehran, it's a whole other story. But yeah, this is, it sounds like this is actually happening. Whether or not this is going to involve a ground invasion, though, it sounds like it's still an open question. What I heard, he emphasized the missiles heavily. Like half of the speech was devoted to the missiles. And he kept mentioning bombing. And it sounds like, at least that's phase one. I don't know if there's more to that. But that is what it sounds like this is a build-up toward. Did you get any other operative sense from this? Listening to it, Taryn?
No, I think you hit it right on the head.
Yeah, it seemed like he's going to start out with the bombing. Yeah. And also, what also speaks to that is at the end where he told the Iranian people, hey, stay inside. There's going to be bombs. There's going to be bombs going off. There's going to be bad things falling from the sky. A lot of body parts. That speaks to more of a bombing campaign, which is what you would want to do anyways. I mean, even when we went into Iraq, that's how we started. We steamrolled with a bombing campaign first. I never necessarily thought I would see this in my lifetime.
There's so many things I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Going all the way back to his first administration. Mm-hmm. We sat down and had peace talks with North Korea.
he crossed the DMZ and
Yes!
shook hands with him and cooled the North Koreans out.
The man deserves...
Which, did you see? Kim Jong-un was reelected in a landslide.
Amazing. That man... Trump deserves to be on Mount Rushmore at this point.
He deserves a different mountain, honestly. I don't want to minimize, however, the implications of this. Because there's no way there's not going to be an attendant cost to this.
An incredible cost.
But if you knew what the Iranian people are dealing with, you would understand why I'm not an opponent of action against Iran. I would say, and it sounds like Trump is completely in this headspace, you can't shrink from being called a conqueror. You have to go in like Call the Conqueror. You have to steamroll. You can't worry about being accused of war crimes. You can't worry about... No, it's war. We're going to win. We're going to do whatever we have to do to win, and we're not going to do any of that George W. Oh, we'll roll in with armored jeeps because we don't want tanks to be in the streets because then we'd be seen as occupiers. You can't do that. You can't wage a campaign that way. And we learned that in Iraq. We learned that in Afghanistan. Again, there's a great difference, and you're going to hear a whole lot of Iraq 2.0s. You're going to hear a whole lot of this. Hey, you've been hearing a lot of that ahead of time. And it was a lie before this announcement. It's a lie now. Iran is not Iraq. Iraq was an Islamic country with an Islamic government. Iran is a non-Islamic country, culturally non-Islamic, that has a dictatorship and a theocracy that has been imposed as a control mechanism. This is there is a night and day difference between Iran and Iraq. And by the way, one of the ways that it's different is that Iran is slightly more militarily capable. Not a whole lot more. Iraq wasn't exactly swimming in military riches, although they still had some that we gave them. But literally in every category, Iran is the exact opposite of Iraq. So when you hear this commentary, even from people, I could understand you opposing this action. I disagree with it. I'd be happy to debate you on whether or not this is the right thing to do, because I firmly believe it has. It is the right thing to do. And I've believed that for 10, 15 years, ever since I had close relationships with Iranian people and understood what they were actually dealing with and the history behind that whole thing. But I would implore you not to give the time of day to the Iraq 2.0 analysis from people, because it's not accurate. It's essentially the mark of midwittery from this point forward. If your analysis doesn't rise to any level higher than it's Iraq 2.0, you have just disqualified yourself. You've shown you don't know anything about war, you don't know anything about Iran, you don't even know anything about Iraq. All you know is your worldview was shaped by the events of 2003, where you are still trapped in terms of policy and in terms of worldview. And that's fine, just don't pretend to be a qualified pundit to talk about this issue. If you're going to oppose this, oppose it on a level that's defensible. Don't pretend that Iran is the same condition as Iraq. It's not. The Iran situation preceded Iraq. There's a reason that we used Iraq against Iran, right? We armed them to keep the Iranians in check. It was because Iraq is the opposite of Iran. So this is going to be an interesting subject to discuss for the remaining, what remains of the stream here. Did you think you would ever see this?
Never in my life.
I mean, it was always the war that was threatening to pop off. I mean, granted, it's an extant war. We have been in a state of war with Iran since 1979. They declared war on us, and we just backed away slowly. We've been in a state of war with Iran, which is why they were able to justify all of the acts of aggression against us and our proxies and our soldiers for decades. If Donald Trump is able to solve a condition as long-standing as this Jimmy Carter fuck up, I mean, there's no way he doesn't go down in history. Because decades and decades of misery. If he's able to end decades and decades of misery, there's just, And then the question becomes, why did we allow it to continue for so long? What were we getting out of the deal? We know that the Obama administration got very cozy with the idea of paying off Iran for hostages. Why were they so comfortable doing that? What were they getting out of the deal? Now that we know that so much of our tax money is going to terrorist organizations like Al-Shabaab, was somebody getting a kickback? Were the rumors of people getting kickbacks? Were those accurate?